hello everyone. So next we have Mr. Raja Bhargav. He is also one of a good interviewer. He has been in corporate world since a long time, and he is right now working with HCL, and he has been taking interviews for various people across like vast time of experience. So I guess we can have Mr. Raja here.
Hi, Bhavya. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for introducing me. I'll take the control from here, and I'll try to explain it clearly about myself, like what I do. Guys, let me introduce myself. Currently, I'm working with HCL, and in total, I have 11 years of experience. So I started working with so many companies. I mean, so this is my sixth company where currently I'm working with. And within that short, years of experience, I joined multiple companies. It's, what Ashish was talking about. I really, before introducing myself, I need to talk about that same thing. Like, we need to work on our communication skills. Like, if we won't be able to, convey our thoughts to the other people who is actually listening, and he cannot make out with anything with that conversation, right? So we won't be able to survive at this point of time in this in this environment right now. So the way our companies have in India, actually. So most of the multinational companies, if we talk about, they won't even consider within first round, they'll drop your resume if you won't be able to communicate with them clearly. Or so, yeah, so that's what I wanted to say. So I'm currently working as an ops manager here. It's a technical plus a managerial stuff I need to do in my day-to-day work. And so last year I joined HCL. So so I've been taking interviews like this past 7 years. I've been taking interviews for technical and only technical. I used to take it for non-technical people as well, but I stopped it because I've been jumped into complete technical stuff. So my technical background is actually, I'm completely related to networking. Maybe you must have heard about it, like during your BTech or MTech. There must be a topic related to it. So let's talk about something. Like, I'm not sure because I joined a little bit late, so I'm not sure what Ashish talked about. If he has already explained you about what resume is all about, and the other fields. So maybe, is that okay for you? Maybe if I could start over.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
I guess if you can turn on your video, but if it's not, it's a fine.
Yeah, sure. Definitely, I can turn on my. Okay, I think you can see me now, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So guys, you're free to interrupt me anytime that I'm explaining anything. Okay, and then we can continue with our questions. Is that okay for you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'll be sharing my screen. It's a small descriptive, like what I actually see, when I have a resume, when I'm interviewing someone. So what I actually look in a fresher or experienced, we'll talk about that thing, and we'll take up questions, based on our discussion. So what exactly CV and resume is all about? So it is clearly mentioned, like, what CV is. CV is a record of academic accomplishments and scholarship. So, resume that we build is like for our professional career. And the other thing, the academic and the other stuff that we have done, that is considered by CV. So if we talk about resume in US, if you're going, then they talk resume. And in British, in England, or maybe in Europe, I would say, they talk about curriculum vitae. So they really don't know what resume is all about. So those are the two different terms. So this is what I've explained here, like, what CV and resume is all about. And what HR is actually going through, because after joining HCL, I've been interacting with the many HR recruiters, and what I come to know here is uh, most of your resume are discarded or dropped due to following reasons. So these are the reasons, okay, for which they actually drop your resume. So they look for a keyword. If you have, suppose you have some technical skill and for which you're applying for, let's say, I'll take an example. Since I'm from networking, I'll take that example. In networking, if there are multiple protocols that you need to be thorough, and you should be experienced in that part. So if you're not mentioning those that you're good at, right, and you're just clearly mentioning, don't try to mention a summary in your resume. It should be prescribed, and it can be 1 or 2 pages. So it cannot be one, it can be two, depending upon the amount of experience that you're holding, right? So they whenever HR or any recruiter look for a resume, they look for a keywords. So keywords is based upon the job for which you're applying for. So the software that they're using to scan for a key, I have actually seen that software. So there are multiple software in the market that they're using. So they actually used or shortlist candidates based on the keywords. So if that proper keywords are not being used in the resume, your resume might not be shortlisted clearly. Okay, so make sure about that thing, and grammatical mistakes. Okay, if they find a single grammatical mistake over there, they're going to drop it, because even I used to do that and I'm doing it. So you need to be sure on that part, all these things being taken care. And yeah, so what is the purpose actually to get a to having a resume, like to get you to an interview, not a job. So that is just for an interview, right? I mean, it will open a door. Your resume will get shortlisted among 10,000 or maybe lakhs of people, okay, for which they're applying for. Maybe if you're applying for a Google, Facebook, Cisco, Juniper, I mean, there are a lot more companies. There are big companies for which you're applying for, and there are a bunch of people applying for that job, right? And if your resume is not in a way and they are going to shortlist it, then there is no way to get into that job, right? So make sure that is the entry level, and it should be short. It should not be big. Okay, you should not elaborate anything in a paragraph. So don't do that. Okay, that is not needed, and interviewer doesn't have time to go through all those things. Okay, I mean, there is one candidate I could remember. I interviewed, and his resume was of 14 page. I mean, 14 pages were there. I don't know like what to do with that. And I didn't go through that. Okay. And I started talking to him straight away. I said, I seriously do not have time to go through your resume, but I really want to talk to you, like what you have done and what you have added in that resume. So he mentioned all of his projects that he did during his BTech and MTech. Uh, and which is not at all needed. I mean, you just need to mention your description of that particular project, right? And if it is really important, then yeah, 3 to 4 lines are quite good enough, right? And the time you're appearing for the interview, if someone is asking like what you have done in your master's or maybe in bachelor's, so at that point of time you can explain it, right? This is what I've done. So there is a best way of explaining things, what you have done in your past in your academics. So yeah, that is the thing that I need to talk about. So which draws an attention. Yeah, there's the fourth point, which draws an attention to your relevant skills, experience, achievements, and potential. So if you have done any certification that you are applying for, so maybe any software certification, like if you're maybe applying for Oracle, your database, PLSQL developer, or Hadoop, maybe I would say,
Expanding
big data.
biologist toolkit with CRISPR-Cas.
I'm sorry. Okay. Anyone has any question? Like,
No, sir, not right.
Yeah, one question.
yes, please.
So the shortlisting thing is for off-campus placement, right? Not for the on-campus, right? The keywords and all, or
Not
they are also followed on the on-campus
Not exactly.
placements.
That is for off campus for sure. Right. Not for on campus.
Okay.
On campus, obviously, all of you are going to be interviewed. That's not the thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And you need to make sure about few things as well. Like, aptitude test. I think most of you here, I could say there are somewhere around 129 people are there on call, and most of you are freshers, I believe, right? I mean, uh, and there are few experienced as well. Like, after completing their BTech, they started working and they joined MTech after that. Am I correct?
Actually,
Yes.
there are many more.
Yes.
There are some people who have
Yes.
PhD also.
Right. So
There are a lot there.
yeah. So experienced people do know about those things, right? What they have seen, like, in their past, and now the companies which are going to visit over here, they are going to see your resume for sure and make sure that it is short. Okay. Since Ashish said that, like, it can be the 20 years of experience candidate has one page resume. That is really good. That is very impressive, I would say. But, there are few things at times that you won't be able to explain it in a better way, like about your achievements and your experience, especially. So, personally, I would say that my resume is of 2 pages. Okay. And where I've explained it about all of my companies, and few part is still missing, but that I keep with myself to explain it in a better way at the time of interview. So yeah, that's what I do. Yeah. So about my personal experience. Okay. So I've been, as I said, freshers and experienced candidates. I'm interviewing both of them. So for freshers, you guys might be looking for, something which can be helpful if a company is visiting to your campus, and what you're going to do at that point of time, like, how you're going to keep yourself so that they're going to select you. I mean, most of you will be selected at that point of time. I think that is the thing that we are looking for at this point of time, because off campus job hunting is quite, uh, it's not easy, I would say. Okay. And on campus, it's very easy, because if you have companies visiting to your campus, then getting job is quite a bit easy. Okay. I mean, they are not a bit harsh on you. They're not going to ask a lot more questions, since they know, like, from which institute you belongs to. So yeah, I mean, that is the difference. So that is a kind of a safer part or safer side for you guys, but you have to prepare yourself in such a way that what you have explained in your resume, you have thorough in that. There should be nothing like what you have explained in your resume and you are not sure about that, that I cannot explain. Like, suppose if I say C++ that you have mentioned, and there are few things that you won't be able to explain it in C++, then please do not mention that. Okay. That puts a wrong impression on interviewer. So yeah, so that is all about, like, maybe any one of you have any questions, what do you need to talk about, please do let me know.
There are some questions that are popping up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
Oh, okay. Let me see. I think I need to check the chat.
Actually, they're coming from YouTube also. Thanks. I shall speak them. So, and actually, the people who have registered here, like who have said that they want to come here, they themselves have asked some questions in the comments. So I would just speak them out, because that might not be available in the chat.
Oh, sure. Please go ahead.
The question is, for an interviewer, what appeals him or her the most and the least? Like, what part of a speaker, the interviewer would look the first and the last?
Okay. So what actually, the highlighted part you're asking in a resume. Okay. So I actually look for the experience, like, what they have done. Okay. Having a knowledge, like suppose you're applying for some job and you do not have experience of, you are skilled in one field itself and you do not have experience on the other part as well. Let's say if we talk about Cisco, okay, so Cisco products are related to networking, and you are good at those products, okay, and coding in those devices, commands and everything, how to work on Cisco, but you're not sure about the other vendors. So there are a lot of vendors like Arista, Versa Networks. There are a lot of companies out there in this there are in the field. So if you're not able to, if you're not going through all of those companies, vendor or product, then I think I would not be able to consider that. Okay, so which actually highlights a lot is like multiple vendors knowledge. That is what matters for me, I believe. So, and the other thing that I look into resume is certifications, like what all certifications that you have done, because that is the way certifying yourself that you have cleared that, and and you have achieved that level, that associate level, professional or the expert level thing that you have done in your academics. I would say that is not related to your academic, that is a professional thing that I'm talking about. So since you have been out of job and now you're looking for a specific field of job, right? If you are specialized in something, and like Hadoop, I would say. So in Hadoop, if you're reaching to some level, then you should clear some certifications that will certify you that you have achieved something, right? It's not all about experience. Your certifications also speaks. Yeah, so that's what I look.
Okay, so next question that is coming up. Which academic achievements should one put on the resume? Because there are many people who have various experiences now, and they have been working on various competition projects throughout their academic career. Academic. So what type of achievements one can put?
I'm sorry, Bhavya, I couldn't hear the last part.
Experiences now, and they have been working on various. What type of achievements one can put on the resume and one cannot? Academic.
Okay. So what that completely depends on the type of job that you're applying for. So you should know. I'm sorry, the job that you're applying, and if what related to your academics, what you have mentioned in your resume, is it related to the job you're applying or not? Okay, let's say you're doing something else and the job that you're applying, which is way apart, right? Which is not going to help you in any way, right? What that interviewer will look into it. So it should be relevant with that. And most important part is like for the job that you're applying, right? For that company, you should know about a little bit about that company as well, that what that company do in their field, and when it started, like for fresher I'm talking about specifically. So they should know, because most of the time freshers, they look for only job. They do not go for the other options, like what company is doing and do I need to hunt for the other company or any other thing. They just simply think like I should get a job, that's it. That's what they think. So yeah, please don't think in that way. Okay, you will get a job and that's the best job that you're going to get. Okay, but what you're mentioning in your resume should be okay with that. You should know everything what you have mentioned. Do not mention that you don't know.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Divyanshu. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, like I have seen so many people are doing the courses on Coursera and other platform, and they are spending around 10 and 12 hours on that particular courses, and they're adding those certificate to make their resume bulky. So is that really matter, or doing some certification in which we have really put our 100 and 150 hours, something like that? So like adding number of certification is really matters, even though they are only 2 and 3 hours courses.
It's not all about that. See, it does matters. Okay, first of all, if you're mentioning anything in your resume, okay, you would be able to justify that knowledge with your experience. Okay, so if you are an entry part, like you are a fresher. Okay, I'll give you my example. Like what I have done is, I started my career in networking. So I did CCNA, which is associate level of networking. All right, and after that, after having some experience like 3 to 4 years, then I did professional, because I started working on those things. And then I thought, like now I think I'm at that position that I could learn the other things as well, to make myself good. Now, after after 9 years, I did CCIE, that is expert level certification. And then I thought, like now I think I'm prepared for what I'm looking for, and that is what interview will look. Okay, making your resume bulky is not be going to help you in any way. Okay, that is just to shortlist your resume. That's it. If you won't be able to justify yourself over there, then in front of interview you're going to embarrassing yourself, right? I mean, if you're not clear, right, about those things what you have mentioned, then that's not good for you. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So next question is coming up is, how does like experience, like while looking into a experience of a candidate, what
Mhm.
comes to the interviewer's mind? Like what does interviewer learn from other person's experience? Just on the resume, not from his verbals.
Okay, I actually didn't get the question. Like the intention is to learn from the candidate what I have learned from.
No, I meant with
Okay.
like the what skills you, like just by reading the text of his experience in any form, would pick out his what he has done or what his skills, soft skills, all those things, or
Definitely. See, first of all, this is the second time that I'm talking about the same thing, like Ashish, what he said, right? The time he was ending his call, he clearly mentioned, like in India, not even in India, in anywhere, okay, English is the most important thing, and soft skills. Like, if you're not clear on your thoughts, if you won't be able to convey yourself, like what you actually wanted to say, or if you do not have a proper presentation skills, like there is no way out that you can, achieve your goals in Indian companies. Definitely. So, yeah.
okay. Rohit, do you want to ask any question?
Yeah, Rohit, go ahead.
Hello. So my question is that you have done a particular project, and when you apply for two companies, one being consultancy and one being an analytical firm, so you twist the words in which in a consultancy I would probably say that I work in this particular team and I would emphasize on collaboration, and in analytics firm I would probably go more on this skill set, right? So in both of these I have to extend the reality to some extent.
Correct.
Like,
I mean, see, okay, there is one thing, exaggeration. If you're doing exaggeration in any field, in anything, okay, that is good until you can justify that thing. Okay, that's what I do. I mean, I have done it in past multiple times. Like, if I'm not doing that thing and I have learned my part, I studied it clearly, and I have seen how people are working. I have learned it from YouTube, maybe Udemy or any other thing. Okay, I've learned that thing. So if I can justify that, okay, what I'm explaining, that if you're not good at those things, justify yourself, and that is the only counterpart you're doing. That's it. So exaggeration is good, but sometimes.
yeah, I mean, by a limit, say if you have a skill set of 100, then maybe go to 130, I guess.
Yeah, you can go for that, definitely.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So next question that is coming up. Is it good idea to write projects from two different but related domains like AI and automation?
Yeah, you can mention that, definitely. I mean, see, there are things that you have done in your past, okay, which is AI and the other automation part that you have done. That is good, okay, for fresher actually, because for fresher, you cannot specifically ask what is going on in the company because they are not sure, they are not experienced, right? So based on that project, that interviewer is going to ask questions like what he's capable of, right? So I'll give you an example. I have multiple friends who are from VIT, okay, Vellore Institute of University. So what they have done, and they just 3 to 4 years of experience they have, and when they joined, okay, they were not good at those things, okay, and now after that they started learning through their experience, right? So yeah, I mean, that's what I say, like, it doesn't matter about your experience, it totally depends on your skill set.
Okay, sir. Sir, like if you are having two candidates, let's say one is international and one is national, like he is from India,
Mhm.
and the company is also in India. Okay, so how would that affect your perspective and the candidate?
See, the thing is, it's not all about if I'm interviewing someone, I'll give you my personal thing. If I'm interviewing, I've been interviewed like many Spanish people and French, US, Canada. I've interviewed all of these states. Okay, so what I have seen is like it's not all about being from other country and a national. Okay, it's all about how much you are capable of. Okay, that's what I look. So recently, we have hired one guy. Okay, he's from India, Hyderabad, and he's been moved to France. Okay, just because we have interviewed so many people in France itself, and we couldn't find that skill set out there. But here in India, I found many, many. Okay, this is not. I'm not appreciating India because I'm Indian. It's not like that. But the thing is, I would be able to find it out. Most of the candidates over here, which has a lot more skills, and compared to the other country, I'm not judging the other country, but I'm saying that like what I have searched, what our company and our HRs are searching for, we couldn't find the right candidate, and we looked for the other one.
Okay, sir, and what
Mhm.
if like the skill sets are same? Every both the candidates know all the things
Mhm.
like that we're looking for.
Mhm.
Then would the nationality be a hurdle in some way for Indians, or
Not
would
at
it be?
all. Would it be or sorry, last part?
I mean, would it be a plus point or a hurdle? I just asked.
No, it's not all a plus point. See, being a foreigner candidate or Indian candidate, it doesn't matter. As I said, it all about learning part, and interviewer actually look in fresher. What the look is. I think I missed that point in my previous conversation and in that previous question. What interviewer look in fresher is, what they are capable of. Okay, if you have mentioned about your projects, okay, what they're capable of, are they able to learn what we are going to give them a training, are they capable of to grasp those things or not? Okay, that's what they actually look for in fresher. That's it.
Sir, and just one more question that I have right now is
Sure, please.
okay. I don't have one more, but I'm needing more. But okay. According to you, how can a person having technical projects done in classroom, because mainly students are technical one, can put their learnings into a non-code? Let's say a biological or biotechnical student putting his project learnings into a software company.
Okay,
Can he do that?
so you're talking about fresher, is it?
Yes, a fresher.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, see, mentioning these things, if this is what you have done in your academics, right? If you're not mentioning those things, how you're going to make your interviewer believe on that you are capable of doing something, right? I mean, not everything you're going to explain them, right? As I said initially, if your resume doesn't have the projects that you have done your academics, this will not be going to help you, especially freshers. So freshers should mention that, and that's what interview think like, okay, this guy has done this. This is capable of doing this, not only, earning good grades. So if he has that capability and he can explain those projects in a better way, he can present it clearly, then it's best, right? I mean, there is no way that we are actually looking for that specialization in that field, right?
Okay, sir. So if a person has one or more than 1 years of gap in his studies or in his, how can he put that thing into a like in like many people do otherwise you have this gap in your resume or in your career. How can you put that?
So I'll tell you, there are two people in hiring process having that issues. Okay, one is manager, another one is HR. Interviewer, who is actually taking your interview, the middle person, he doesn't even care about those things. Okay, so monetary effect you're going to get. That is the first thing. Okay, and manager would not be ready to give you, because if you have a gap, then you're looking for a job only. That's it. That's what your main focus is, that you need a job, you need to kickstart your career, and then you can put yourself into job, right? But if you have a gap, right, you have that state in mind that I should, in any way I should get a job. uh, eh, and like, any money, you do not have any, figure in your mind that, I should get that amount of money out of that job. So you're not even thinking. So you're just thinking that I should get a job, right? So manager will talk to you about this, and your HR will talk to you, and they clearly offer you the amount of money that you haven't think about. So I can give you an example, like, in my team, there is one lady, Eva Bhatt. So she's even, more than experienced than me. I mean, she's having 15 years of experience, and she had a baby, and after that, she took somewhere around 6 years of gap, okay, in her experience. And after that, now she joined as an L2 engineer, but she's capable of doing a lot of things. I'll definitely, she work as an L3 engineer, but we cannot do that because HR and manager, that's what they think. Like, if someone is having a gap, then uh, that's what they do. I mean, that actually happens in most of the Indian companies, frankly.
So there's one more question coming from Mohammed. He's asking like, are there minimum duration of working experience or 2-3 months of experience that is required for generally, like, would it favor the candidate or not? And
Sorry?
So if there are two candidates, one is a fresher, one has a experience of 2 or 3 months. Okay. Would it affect in some way or not? Because many students have like some months of experience, not a lot of experience. I'm not considering students who have a lot of experience of working in a company, but if it has some months of experience in a company, would it affect?
Maybe they have done internship or something like that, because having 2 or 3 months of experience, that is not possible, right? I mean, any company you're joining and leaving. Right.
Yes, sir.
So see, if you're comparing both of those candidates, you're going to think about the other person who is having 2 to 3, what he actually learned in that 2 to 3 months. Okay. And if he cannot represent himself, he cannot justify those 2 to 3 months, because he's having a lot more pressure than a fresher, because fresher actually has to present himself what he has done. And 2 to 3 months is something like he must have, roaming there, here and there. And he just be thinking like, I got that opportunity. Why would I, learn? I have a lot more time. Most of the people think like in that way. And if he can explain him in a better way within 2 to 3 months, he can justify, then I think I would consider that the experience candidate only.
Okay. Nice. So, being an HR, when you ask a student like, "What is your dream company? How do you see yourself after 5 years?" What type of answers what comes to your mind after listening to answers?
Okay, first of all, I'm not HR, and
Okay, but
and the
as
other
an
thing,
interviewer,
okay. So what do I look? Sorry, I mean, okay, look as
like
5 years. After 5 years, what do you
yeah,
see in a candidate, right? Okay, so that is something which is a relevant question. Okay, what I feel, I have never seen asking this question, but there are few interviewers that ask this question to me, especially managers. So see, that depends on your requirement. Okay, if you have multiple offers in hand, I'm not kidding at all. I'm not lying at all. Okay, what I'm just saying is completely depends on the amount of offers you have in your hand. Okay, and the position that you are in. Okay, so if you can think like in that way, then you can say whatever you want, but you should be defined enough what you're saying. Okay, you should watch your words, and just keep yourself in a safer side. That's what.
uh, Raj, do you want to ask him a question?
Yeah. So my
Hi,
question
Raj.
is, hi. So most time it happen in interview when interviewer ask about my strength and weakness. So what should I reply? Really, I should reply my real strength and weaknesses, or I learned from somewhere, or what should be the appropriate answer, or what should be what type of answer should make a good impact or on interview? Should I use that word,
Mhm.
that answers on my strength and
Okay.
weaknesses?
See, you should be diplomatic at this point of time. Okay. And you should always be. Strength and weaknesses, you should not at all talk about your weakness at all. Okay. There are a lot of questions can come for that. So if you're talking about your strengths, you can move one of your strength into your weakness point. Okay. I think you're getting what I'm trying to say. So interviewer
Yes,
will
yes.
think like the thing that you have explained, that is not at all a weakness, that is the best part in you itself, but you are thinking it as a weakness. Do not try to mention anything in your as a weakness. Put your
Okay,
strength, one of your strength in your weakness part. That's what.
okay, yeah, got it. Thanks.
So, Sajid Menon is asking, do companies look down on candidates with disability?
I'm sorry.
Do companies look down on candidates with disabilities? If a person has some physical disability, would it affect his perspectives?
No, not at all. I mean, they're all equal. I've been part of Cisco for 5 years, and I have never seen there are candidates, who are physically not able, and they do have some other projects running on. I mean, there are people who cannot see actually. Okay, they have a project running for those people as well. They give proper training to them, and they are that much of capable that we are not. Okay, so I'll give an example. Like I was in support for some time, and I used to give support globally, and there these guys used to open a case for us, and I used to communicate with them on call, and they used to type very fast. You won't even believe that the way that we are speaking, they're typing in. Okay, they cannot even see that, and they are preparing, they are actually working on that application, so they have that sort of gadget. So disability I have never seen, like blindness is something like I don't know about that, but the other things are in disability, I'm company never consider that, all are equal.
That's okay. So next question is coming from Richa Khalilwal. She's asking if someone was working, there was no work gap, but the person does not have any certificate on any official record. Like let's say he's working in a company,
Okay.
not a company.
Okay.
I would say on a project, but for some reason he is not able to contact a person who can refer that yes or attest that she was working in this company or on this project. So there's no record for it. how will the interviewers take that?
Okay. See, if you do not have any certification is, it's a good add-on to your resume. This is not a mandatory stuff that companies are looking for. Okay. Please don't take my previous words the way that I've explained in such a manner that, you have to do a certification to get into a job or a best job. Okay. So that is not the case actually. That is on person interest or a passion. Okay, I do have a passion. I had a passion that I wanted to do the certification because this is one of the precious one, and I wanted to see myself somewhere. Okay, getting a job or shortlisting yourself, you need to make sure that if someone is shortlisting or okay, I'll give you example because my wife, she is a recruiter. Okay, and how is she looking for candidates? She is using a software, and in that software, she's putting a keywords. Okay, like suppose a C++ or a Java candidate, Java core experienced candidate she's looking for. Okay, she never looks for a certification. That is for the technical person who's going to take her interview. It's not all about certification. Okay, certification coming to picture once you have that thing, once you are getting interviewed. Okay, and if you have not done it, that completely fine. You just need to justify your knowledge, what knowledge you have. Okay, there are people who are much more knowledgeable and they don't even consider, why would I certify myself since I feel like I have that amount of knowledge, why would I need that, right? So it's all about perception. That's it.
Sir, but actually the question is like, it's bit I guess you might not have it.
Okay, let me read it. I think it's there in the chat. Let me. Yeah.
Yes, it's there on chat. It's from Richard, the second last one.
Hello, shall I come in?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, the thing is, during these 9 years of work experience, I worked for 6 months in a company. Then I worked for since last 8.5 years. I was associated with one company. I worked with that company for 3-4 years. Then I switched a company because I was shifting my city. I was locating to different city. Then I came back to that city and I worked for them for few years. And then they just had kept me as on-roll employee. So then in between thing, they are not ready to certify me, but I was working with them. That's why I got on-roll because they were saying as consultant, but I was working as an on-roll employee. So I decided to come as on-roll. But that part, like that was around 3 and 5 years, like 3.5 years, 3 years and 2-3 months, something like that. And they are not ready to give.
Let me see. Let me take it in. I'm sorry, just interrupting you. Let me understand, like, what you have just said. So you're saying that you were before a contractual, in a contractual way, you were working for that company, and after that,
I was working. I was thinking that I will have my personal practice. I'm an architect by profession. So I was thinking I will have some personal practice. Also, I will try to do something in green buildings and like sustainability part, which was quite on. So I thought like I will work for certification and all. So I'll work with this company just to keep me like active and with the market and like to be in the market, like keep me alive in the market. Just I said that, but there was no contract as such. But the way they started taking work from me, then I decided that I'm not able to do my things, and they are taking me as an employee, and workload also I have done. So why should I try this? Although I'm not able to do that, so I decided to go in that join that company properly. So now I'm trying to ask them.
See, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But they are not ready to give me that on paper now. They are making different kind of excuses like CA and all, but I was there somewhere. It is nothing like I'm asking them for fake certificate, but they are making a different kind of excuses due to some reason.
Okay, so when you started working initially, was it on the papers that you're going to officially work for them?
Because I was associated company 3 years ago for 4 years. So we just took it like, okay, I'm coming. It's like that.
See, if it was not been documented, or if not has been certified by any offer letter or any appointment letter by that company, and you've been still working with that, so I don't think that company will give you anything, or they'll certify you in such a way. Not
They
possible.
refused. They refused.
Sorry?
I had a
Richa, I think your voice is not audible. Is it me only, or like for everyone?
2-3 hours.
It's for everyone. We cannot hear you properly, Richa.
Yeah, Richa, your voice is not audible.
Many times.
Still the same.
Yeah,
Richa, I guess you can just try to leave and just come again. Then I guess he'll be able to answer.
That's right. Maybe you could drop yourself and rejoin the session.
Tell them, Sudarshan, if you want to ask any question, you can ask.
Yeah, thank you. So I know this is a resume. I know this is a session about resume, but this question I was meaning to ask for a very long time. Like, I know during the HR round or during the manager round, there is a part where you negotiate about your salary. So how do you handle it? Do you have any tips to when I go there, like usually when you're trying to get a job, you will have some salary in your mind, but personally, I don't think about the salary a lot, because I am a person who looks for the work experience and other stuff, like other benefits, like how is my work environment and such. So during that time, how do I even know what is the right salary for my what the work I'm going to do, and how do I even negotiate? What would be the points you would use? Like you have been in many companies, right? So what would be the points you would usually use to negotiate a good salary for yourself? Yeah.
Okay. First of all, the job that you have applied or you've been selected by that company, you should know about the correct amount. Okay. Maybe if you do not have any of your friends or any of your colleagues out there in that company, better search it on Google. There is a Glassdoor and Quora as well. Most of you might be doing Quora as well, chat. So there you can search, and most of the people, what they do is like they put their comments for the particular position, what would be the right salary. Okay, you'll get some idea, approximate idea about that company and the salary that they're offering. Okay, now it depends about fresher and experienced candidate. Fresher is something like that they cannot argue anyone. First of all, I mean, I'm not saying they can do that, but it depends how was their interview and at what position they are. If they have multiple offers in their hand and they think like doing that with any of the company take them to something, take them somewhere, then I think it's better do freshers. But for experienced candidate, definitely you should try that. You should negotiate, because HRs are someone I'll tell you, I'll frankly telling you that I've seen that the candidates that I'm hiring, okay, and the experienced one, they're actually offering what they're deserving. Okay, they're actually offering them very less. Okay, and after that they have to negotiate and they have to show them the other offer letter that they are having from the other company. Okay, and then they started negotiation. Like, let's say if someone has been offered by 30 lakh, okay, and after that he got some offer from some other company of 35. The company that he's actually working on, or I mean he wanted to join, so he's going to show that offer letter of 35 to tell them like this is what I'm getting from there, and that company is actually looking for that, then they'll give you 20-30% hike in that thing. So experienced can do that, okay, because they are in a safer place. They have the job. Freshers doesn't have anything, so they cannot do that. So just keep yourself on a safer place.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Raj, do you want to ask any question?
No, actually, last time I raised my hand, so that was that only. Sorry.
Okay. So Richa, are you here? Okay, Richa is not here. We can move to the second question.
I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah.
Yes, Richa,
So,
please
sir,
go ahead.
I tried to talk with those people. I had 2-3 meetings with those people, but they refused. Okay. Although I have other ways to get the certificate, because see, if I'm here, if I'm there for last 9 years, I can do things, but I don't want to do all that. So I just want to know, what is your perception over that?
Okay. See,
as a recruiter,
if I'm there in that place, okay, their place, and I've been interacting with you, I would have said that my first question would be like, do you have anything on papers which clarifies this, that you've been associated with this company for this much of years? Okay. If those things are there, then you do have a right to be a part and you can show it to the other people. Okay. And I mean, initially when you're joining a company, so this is the process of any of the company, like you're joining, you have to have a letter of joining with them, right? That is the basic thing. And if that is not there, then there is no way of asking them, and they're not going to help you in any way, for sure.
So there's one more question from Archit. He's asking, in campus selection process, considering the time limit to company and competition.
I'm sorry, I just need to increase the volume. Bhavya, could you please just repeat your question?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My question is, in campus selection process, considering the time limit to company and the competition among the students, is the number of candidates to be shortlisted for interview pre-planned by company? And like
they
how
do.
to prepare?
They do. So if, like, suppose, if I talk about Cisco when I was there, because I'm just giving you this straight away example that I have been gone through and what I have seen. So 1,000 people were, fill the, they have given their resume and they have filled the form. And after that, they have considered somewhere around 200 people for the interview. Okay. I mean, for the walk-in interview after that, because they have shortlisted from 1,000 people, they have shortlisted 200, or I think 150, something like that. That was the figure. So that's what I'm saying, like, how they figured it out. So there is a team which is who is actually looking for the actual keywords and for the job that they're applying for, and they haven't mentioned any irrelevant thing in their resume. Okay. So after that, they've been part of the walk-in interviews, and then we started interviewing them. So you need to be sure on that part. So resume is the first thing that you're building for yourself to get into that position, to step yourself into interview room, I would say.
So if in case, let's say you have to, like, 200 interviews are being taken, and initially within 100 to 150 interviews, you decide that, yeah, these many candidates have been selected, like they are well versed and candidates. Mm-hmm. Now the rest of the 50 candidates who have been given the chance and given interview, so how would you take their interview? Would their interview be just a random one, or it would be also taken in the same fashion as the previous candidates were taken?
Okay, so you meant that we have shortlisted, I mean, we have interviewed again and we have shortlisted 50 people among 150, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like you had a seat of 50 candidates only.
Okay.
Like, interview for 200, you plan to take for 200, but initially within 150 candidates, you shortlisted, like you and all your other colleagues shortlisted 50 of them already. Now 50 candidates are still left to give interview. How would their interview be done? Or is it you first
they don't do that. So they have to go through all the resumes. They have to interview all of them. It is not like they have been shortlisted. They have been put it in a, I would say, in a chronological order, in a better way, in a proper, I would say, in a proper column that they are good. Okay, they think like, they can justify themselves what we are actually been hiring them for. So we have to interview all of them. It's not like, in 150 we have already find it out 50, so we're not going to interview rest of the 50 people who are left out. We have to do them. Okay, because 1,000 is a big number. Okay, and after that there is a team working on that, and we as an interviewer, we have to give a proper reason why we have considered that candidate. Okay, so we are giving a proper reason to them.
Okay, sir. Sandeep, do you want to ask any question?
Just allow me one moment, guys. Just allow me. Just want to have a glass of water, then I'll be back. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So everyone, just an announcement till sir is coming, that if anyone has, there would be a feedback would also be coming. So if you want to give any feedback and reach out to the as Ashish sir asked, any resume now, you can contact PGAC directly for that, and we will try to provide with that. Or there would be a feedback form which will be filling up. There you can ask for that.
All right, guys, I'm back. You can see me, right?
Yes, sir. Sandeep, you can ask a question.
Yes, sir. Sir, as you mentioned in the starting of the session, it's difficult to find the jobs from the outside, out of campus. So can you just give some advice how to go for it? Like if someone graduated right now, so piece of advice, like better way, because I find like it's difficult through LinkedIn and all these things. So.
Okay. See, I'll talk about myself. My personal experience is like, I got a job through off campus. Okay. When I started my career. So, what I have done is like, I did certification. Okay. And I was clearly defined myself that I'm going to go, or networking would be my passion, and that's what I need to follow. Okay, because I liked it, and I started learning networking. So I thought like, I have to build my career in networking only. So for that, I did certification. Okay. So what that will clarify yourself, because that will give you more chances among the other people, because on campus, you do not have that amount of competition, but in off campus, it is all about competition. I mean, there are a lot more people out there who are capable of doing a lot more things that you are, capable of. And it's not all about certification, gaining a lot more knowledge on that part. Okay. You have to learn a lot. Okay. I mean, that's what I have done. I mean, I struggled a lot just for that thing, and I did a couple of certifications, and after that I was pretty confident that if I'm going to put myself in any interview, then I'm going to clear it for sure. So please don't be hesitate, first of all. And one more, I think I've answered your question, or any other thing.
So means basically working on our skill set and just apply for the opportunities.
Yeah, that's see, invest yourself into certifications as well. See, that is something which gives you professional stuff, what you're doing, and what you're up to for that particular technology. So this is completely prescribed uh, way of a particular certification, I would say. And one more thing, see guys, you should be confident enough while giving an interview. You should not be fumbling, and should be more confident and have a eye contact with the interviewer always, all the time, not like staring him, just in a good way. So just do that, and yeah, and communication skills, that does matter. So why don't you guys do mock interviews? I mean, see, that will give you, if anyone has not done that thing, okay, I would give you an advice to do a mock interviews. Mock interviews as in, like, just any one of your colleague or maybe any one of your friend try to, interview and in a serious way. And for sure, you're going to get some experience in that.
Okay. Sir,
Yep.
there's one more. I think two more questions coming up. If
Okay,
there are more,
I have
yeah,
10
I
minutes
do
left.
understand.
Okay.
Shashikant, do you want to ask any question?
Yes, I want to ask a question which was not there earlier. So my question is, I have a job experience, which means the project which I did was not too interesting. I was working in a service-based company. Now, when I am applying for a job interview in the campus, so that the project which I did in that service-based companies are not too impressive. So shall I exclude them, or shall I still use them in my resume? Because that will work ethics will be highlighted through those experiences.
Definitely. See, you should put that thing. Okay. And on what basis you're saying that, that was not interesting at all? Okay. If there is some work is being going, it's not like, you couldn't find that interesting, that project is not interesting. It can be for the other person as well. Right. So mentioning that thing in your resume gives the other feedback as well for your, that you have, how work ethics are work in the other companies. Okay, what you need to do there, and how so if some experienced person is there, okay, and he's not mentioning about his experience about any of the project that he worked on, okay, then I think that is the worst part that you're doing, okay, for your career. Because you should mention you have invested your time in such thing, anything, okay, then why are you not mentioning that you have worked, you worked as a professional person somewhere, okay, that does matter.
Okay, and I have worked on some other project which was not legally under that company, but I was working some other project. So shall I put it as a means assigned project, because that was not assigned? But shall I lie on that part that there was a project which I worked on in that company?
No, don't do that. See, if so, you worked as a freelancer, is it?
Yeah, means, I actually worked on that project, and that was interesting. So I was thinking that instead of putting my actual project, shall I put this different project? Because I have worked on that and in the same period of time. So shall I put that? But yeah, but the thing is, if I put it as extra project, then that doesn't have any value. So this is the situation.
See, the thing is, do not put that in your resume, but that is in written, okay? If you really think that, explaining that will give a good impression on interviewer, it's better that you should mention what work you have done in your previous company, the project. And at the time of interview, you can say that, like, I do have something more to say on my project work, what I have did earlier in my previous company. And this is what it is. And you can second and third, you can talk about the other project that you have worked. Okay. Verbally. It's not, do not mention that in written that you have done it, this thing in that company, which is not at all part of it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, one more last question. So one thing
All
follow
right.
up from what you asked about salary negotiation. If
Mhm.
on campus, if there are various offer letters coming, would it be advisable? Like, I mean, would it be possible even to negotiate on campus placements?
Okay. Uh, yeah, you can do that. You can do that depending upon. Okay. I'll give you example. Like there are 3 to 4 companies, like some unknown company that you're not even heard of, and which is giving you a higher package. And one is Amazon, one is Google, and Facebook. Okay, you have these 4 companies. One unknown company is there, and which is giving you the higher package. Okay, now this is the started. I mean, you're just starting your career. Okay, and this should be a good start, I would say. Okay, taking chance with your career is not a good idea. That's what my advice is. Okay, and if someone is giving you you know a good package, it's not the work that you're going to do over there that would be good for you. Okay, I mean, how you're going to say that, like, that work is not going to be good for you, like, but I would advise you that, go for the multinational company. Okay, for which after that you can move yourself to any other company, like in an easier way. Okay, compared to any startup or any unknown. Take advice from your seniors, or maybe anyone, like, uh, I would say, like, the Ashish was there at the time he presented, and just ping me on LinkedIn. I will be available. You can send me a message. Like, if you have any question, then I'll be there to answer.
So there's one more question. Just the last one. Like,
Okay.
is it good to add self-done projects on resume? Like, if there's no other project, but you have some self-done projects,
Self-done
self-made projects.
projects. Okay. Okay. See, if the work that you have done in that project is something which is can be talked about, okay, not any relevant thing. Okay. Uh, I mean, you can judge yourself, like what you have done in that project. Okay. If you think that is a discussable and you're going to get a good outcome, and he will be happy to hear that. So maybe if you're going to tell me, like, I want to talk about my project to you, and this is what I've done it personally. Nobody assigned to me. But if I do not have any interest in listening that, because I couldn't see that you have not done anything in that. So judge yourself, like, what you have done in that, and if that can be discussed with the other person or not.
So I would really thank Mr. Raja for giving his precious time to us, and it was
Thank you for
great
having
talking
me.
to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are
it's been a
really
great audience,
grateful.
and yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Raja. It was very helpful. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
So I would just like to conclude here. Thank you everyone for joining. And there will be a feedback form that will be coming where you can ask, give us feedback how this conduction of workshop and talk was there. And lastly, if anyone want to contact the 2 speakers, they can contact via. If further, if you want to know about contact, you can contact PGAC. Thank you. Thank you for that.